The story begins when there are mysterious gates opened into the real world 10 years ago. Starting that day, several enormous monsters came out from the different gates and started to invade the world. When the monsters appeared, the normal people became awakened with a different class, and these awakened people became hunters who hunted down the monsters to save humanity. But on the other hand, there was a young man with black hair and red eyes who was easily bullied by strong hunters in this world. There were times when someone hit him with crystal ice on the face, and despite that he has a muscular body, he still fell on the floor and he vomited blood due to the impact he received. His name is Kang Ji-hung, our main protagonist in this story. His blood splattered on the ground, but he cannot do anything as he was used to it because he knows in himself that he is just a loser in this world full of the strongest hunters. He was always bullied by 3 young men about his age, and these men called him a worm. They underestimated him for being too weak at the awakened specialization of high school. Ji-hung grits his teeth out of annoyance and he hates himself for being like this. All he has is the ability to regenerate. It is supposed to be an S-rank ability, but not for him. When he tried this ability to himself, he couldn't help but to scream in pain as it hurts like hell when he regenerates. The bullies attack him, laugh at him, and laugh again and again when he's in pain from the healing. There isn't even any proof of the bullying left once he's healed. Unbelievable, but to be honest, the higher position that can possibly help Ji-hung cannot do anything. Even the teacher and police officers, at least to the S-rank awakened who received special treatment from the government. Everybody has a reason for enduring this kind of bullying despite the pain they felt, and for Ji-hung, his one and only reason is his mother. His dad died when he was 5. Every time his mother asked him about house school, he always lied that it was great. He was very determined to graduate and become a hunter, and his motivation is his mother. That's why he forced himself to endure the bullying and pain, and was hoping that he can become at least a C-rank hunter with his ability. His income, if that happens, will be small, but it's fine for him as long as he can be able to leave somewhere better with his mother. His mother looks so tired and stressed, but they live their life happily to the fullest. His mom's birthday came. He thought that it would be a great day despite that they are poor. But then, his hopes disappeared when he heard that those bastard men beat his mom into a vegetative state. They say it was an accident, but Ji-hung doesn't believe them. Before his mom was beaten, those bastards coincidentally came to his mom's restaurant, and the leader of these bullies kept telling to Ji-hung's mom that she was hot. The bully grabbed Ji-hung's mother's hand and he was boasting that he was an awakened who can make diamonds. Ji-hung's mother pulled away her hand and she accidentally slipped the phone of the man and it ended up broken. Ji-hung's mother trembled in fear as she saw that the screen had broken. The lady is willing to pay any amount, but the awakened man hits her on the stomach until she comes to this stage. It was said that their abilities flew into a rage. Ji-hung was shaking in anger because he has known these men since then. For him, it was neither a coincidence nor a rage of their abilities. Because of it, he roared loudly with mixed emotions, anger and pain. He even dropped the cake that he was about to give to his mother as a birthday present. From the other's point of view, the bullies went to the forest and they were talking about what happened to Ji-hung's mother. One of their members felt nervous thinking that their victim may die because of what they have done. But then, their leader doesn't care at all. He was confident that the law would protect them no matter what just because they were awakened. The other man was still guilty and the leader stared at him eye to eye. "Do you think that was my first time beating someone up?" he uttered. All of a sudden, someone came and asked why they did that crime. They couldn't tell who it was from afar, but then the man walked slowly towards them and found out that it was Ji-hung. Since he didn't get any answer, Ji-hung repeated his question loudly. "Why did you do that to my mom, you bastard?" Ji-hung screamed with anger and pain in his eyes. The leader still dared to smile while realizing that it was Ji-hung's mom. Ji-hung continuously cried and his blood boiled as he heard the man say that his mother looked so young. He rushed to them, but the man used a diamond spike range skill and Ji-hung was hit on the chest. "I almost flirted with her," the man said. Ji-hung kneeled on the ground while his blood dripped from his wound. He grips into the spike while he grits his teeth. His hands were trembling as he was pulling the spike on his chest. His tears continuously flowed and he successfully pulled the spike from his chest. The spike creates a hole on his chest, but after he pulls the spike, it suddenly closes and goes back to normal. He started to regenerate and he was trembling in pain. He looked at the bullies with anger, but the man was annoyed at him and cast another diamond spikes, a lot of diamond spikes. With just his hands, he can control the spikes, and when he pointed his finger on the ground, the spikes attacked. Ji-hung kneeled once more and screamed in agony. "Who do you think you are?" the man asked. Ji-hung was already weak, but when heard the man called him a loser, his senses and determination to revenge came back. His body is already full of blood and he even cried blood. He then stood and rushed to the bullies once more, even there's a lot of spikes all over his body. He was like a demon as he screamed and tried to reach the leader of the bullies. He's really determined, show him Thor. The leader ordered his companion. His companion was hesitant, but he needs to follow the order of his leader. By just staring at Ji-hyung, there was like a lightning in his eyes and Ji-hyung only saw a silhouette. Because of it, Ji-hyung screamed in pain as he was burned by the dazzling light. He kneeled to the ground again and his pants were already damaged. This time, the determined Ji-hyung sunk on the ground. The man thought that Ji-hyung was already unconscious, so they decided to just leave. When they passed through Ji-hyung, Ji-hyung pulled the foot of the bully's leader. "Where do you think you're going?" Ji-hyung asked, and the man stared at him with annoyance. The man then activates his diamond fist and punches Ji-hyung with it several times with a strong force, causing the diamond fist to crumple. Nobody can stop him. He continuously punched Ji-hyung and he doesn't even care that he might also kill Ji-hyung in this state. He was furious at the fact that Ji-hyung is protecting his mother, and he also doesn't like the fact that Ji-hyung is mad at him. He punched every part of Ji-hyung's body, even his mouth. As he was punching Ji-hyung's blood was splattering onto the man's face. Since Ji-hyung doesn't want to give up, he called his member, Sandman, and ordered him to dig. Sandman then used his power to control the sand, and while he was digging, Ji-hyung stared at them furiously. "What are you gonna do?" Thor asked, but the leader ordered him to shut up. At this point, their leader activates his skill. He was making a diamond to cover Ji-hyung with it. Ji-hyung knew what was gonna happen, and before he was completely covered, he cursed them all and he vowed that he would kill these three young men. "I'll kill all of you. I'll make sure of it," he screamed. The leader smiled and challenged Ji-hyung to try what he wanted if he could really get out. The leader walked away while Sandman covered the diamond so no one could see Ji-hyung. The large diamond was already covered with sand, and despite that it has a lot of spikes from the inside, Ji-hyung tried pushing it, hoping that he could destroy it. But then, even if he uses his full force and even if he tries his best many times, nothing's gonna happen. And that makes him annoyed. He couldn't do anything but scream in anger. Because of his anger, he came to the point of punching the diamond spike, causing his hands to be injured. He then accepts the fact that there's no way he can be able to break the diamond. His eyes rounded as he felt that he cannot breathe. There's no air entering inside the diamond. He was scared and cried as it hurt. He feels that he was about to lose consciousness, but because of his regeneration ability, he was forcibly kept awake. But the regenerative ability comes with pain, so he was suffering in severe pain all along. Every moment feels so overwhelming for him. When he saw a large spike, he tried to use it as a weapon to kill himself. As he suicide, he remembered his mother, but unfortunately, his regenerative ability of him won't even allow him to die. He continuously cried as he started to accept that he was really a powerless human, so utterly powerless. But then, he remembered that this is how his mom feels at the moment. He gritted his teeth while he was trembling and he vowed that we'll get out of here no matter what, no matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter for him as long as he can get out alive. 5 years later, the famous S-Rank hunters were interviewed live on TV, and the journalist said that these three men are famous for their kindness, and he even heard that these hunters do volunteered work often too. They then replied that they have always felt joy wherever they help people in need. And as expected, it was the three young men who murdered Ji-hyung. The journalist mentioned that the leader of these so-called famous hunters hurt a civilian 5 years ago because of an ability outrage. He became silent and he suddenly cried while saying that it was his close friend's mom. He was referring to Ji-hyung and Ji-hyung's mother this time. He told the journalist that it happened when he was a student at that time, and he lied that it was an accident due to the reason that he couldn't control his abilities enough back then. "I apologized to him, but I haven't been able to reach him since then. I want to apologize to him again. I'm really sorry," he added. Someone was mad and attacked him with a studio door because of this statement coming from him. He was almost hit by the door, but he was able to activate a diamond shield. He stared in the direction of the person who attacked him, but he was confused to what he had seen. The people were running away because they were scared as they saw that it was a monster. It has dark legs with sharp nails and it was walking towards the three famous hunters. The hunters then stood and the leader kept staring at the mysterious monster, and it suddenly attacked him. Back then, Ji-hyung continuously punched the diamond spike, hoping that he could get out. He doesn't have any idea how much time has passed. Months, years, and the diamonds didn't even get a scratch. But there's one thing that Ji-hyung noticed. His regenerated ability was different from others. The continued injuries triggered an excessive regeneration, and he regenerated into a stronger person than before. His exoskeleton unexpectedly came out. Inside this grave, he destroyed his entire body and regenerated. He feels continued pain and his blood splattered, flesh ripped, bones broke, and unending pain. and when he regenerated, the pain he felt was worse than death. Even then, he continued on until he got stronger and stronger. Now, the time has come for his revenge. As he punched his enemy, the man's eyes almost came out and flew away on the corner. Because of Jaehyung's strength, Thor and Sandman were both speechless. Jaehyung's appearance this time is not a human figure, but he really looks like a monster. He was standing still as he recalled the time that the Bullies leader challenged him to kill him. At this moment, Thor and Sandman were still in shock as they can see that this monster's half-face in front of them looks like Jaehyung. "I got out, you fuckers," Jaehyung uttered. Thor and Sandman were dumbfounded after they confirmed that it was really Jaehyung. Their leader behind them still managed to stand and ordered both Thor and Sandman to kill Jaehyung. Thor used the same skill that he used to Jaehyung 5 years ago when Jaehyung was dazzling. But this time, he remained unharmed and even dared to smile. He then rushed to Thor and beheaded him without any hesitation. The leader of these hunters was dumbfounded seeing the headless Thor, and also, Sandman was shocked. He was standing still while looking at his dead friend, and Jaehyung was behind him, who suddenly paused. He was mad at Jaehyung for killing his friend, so he activated his skill to attack Jaehyung. The moment that he attacked Jaehyung, Jaehyung instantly sensed it. Sandman cast a sand skill to cover Jaehyung, grits his teeth as he remembered the past. He instantly destroyed the sand skill of Sandman and he rushed the Sandman, pulling the lower part of his mouth. Jaehyung was so mad and didn't want to give any mercy. Sandman held onto his mouth and Jaehyung was not satisfied unless he died. Jaehyung then punched him several times, and the hunter's leader was standing still behind Jaehyung and was ready to attack Jaehyung with his diamond fist. Jaehyung was aware of his presence. The man punched Jaehyung and he giggled due to his anger. He raised his arm as he controlled several diamond spikes. The man then pointed to Jaehyung and the spikes went outside the studio and attacked Jaehyung. Jaehyung was struck all over his body while the man was standing still and observing him. To his surprise, Jaehyung started moving and his blood was visibly flowing on his body like a lava. The man was shocked upon seeing Jaehyung rise and still alive. He was just staring at Jaehyung and he gritted his teeth knowing that he didn't kill Jaehyung yet. He activated his diamond armor and even his hair became sharp diamonds. This time, he strongly punched Jaehyung for the second time and he's not satisfied yet. He punched again several times just like what he did to Jaehyung 5 years ago. Jaehyung's blood splattered as the man continuously punched him. The man punched Jaehyung's mouth and it was like a deja vu to Jaehyung since this is also what the man did to him before. The man was dumbfounded as Jaehyung fought him back and struck him in the chest. He falls to the ground while his diamond fist is inside Jaehyung's body. His other hand was holding to Jaehyung's sharp arm, and Jaehyung bit his hand while squeezing his face, which made him scream in pain and almost cried. He was trembling as he was casting a giant diamond to struck Jaehyung and stay away from him. Jaehyung flew above and he didn't let go of the man's diamond fist. The man then ran away, trying to escape while holding his arm to stop the bleeding. But he was too slow as Jaehyung was still able to attack him from behind. Jaehyung walked towards the man and the man was already bending over and he was shaking in fear as he saw that Jaehyung was going near him. He was screaming and asking Jaehyung not to go near him. But Jaehyung is very determined to avenge his mother, so Jaehyung didn't let this man pass. He attacked the man and the man's blood dripped from his body and he screamed loudly because of the pain. At the end, all his diamond spike was struck to his own body. This time he was hesitant to believe that this monster in front of him was Jaehyung, so he asked it himself. Jaehyung then held on to the mask of his right face and he slowly removed it in front of the person he hated the most. The man suddenly cried and was shocked to confirm that it was the person they bullied. The past was recalled into his mind when he was calling Jaehyung a worm. Jaehyung was looking emotionless at him. He clenched his fist and punched the man once more, not just once but several times to revenge for the pain he felt back then. He even strangled the man and punched him again and again. He also punched the man's mouth just like what the man did to him. The man continuously cried as he felt severe pain all over his body and face. Jaehyung stood and stared at the man's dead body, which was already headless. Finally, Jaehyung avenged his mother in the days he was bullied by these so-called famous kind hunters. The blood of his enemies scattered on the floor and it was fresh, which he could see his satisfied reaction. The rain started to fall and it's dripping from above the damaged roof to the blood of the hunters. When the night came, Jaehyung went to the hospital to visit his mother. He covered his body with a blanket so the people won't see his appearance. He was staring at his mom and became emotional. 5 years have passed but his mom still can't move and can't even speak. Together with a strong rain, Jaehyung is crying as he was still in pain seeing his mom suffer for so many years. The next day at the forest, there were several hunters who went into the hunting area by the portal or the so-called gate. They were hunting monsters and after they're done, they acknowledged the lady member of their party since she was the one who worked hardest among them all. The lady said that it was her first time going this deep into the gate, and she was thankful that these men were looking out for her. "We're far more grateful," the men answered with an evil look. The lady was confused and she was trembling in fear after hearing a man say that no one knows what happens inside the gate. One man then held the lady's 2 hands. "It takes a month to get out of here. I am excited to spend that month with you," the man uttered. The lady started crying as she didn't expect that these men had a bad plan for her. Surprisingly, the man who was taking advantage of her was suddenly beheaded. It was because Jaehyung came. Upon seeing him, the man doesn't know who he was and even the lady was dumbfounded. Because of Jaehyung's posture with one sharp horn, a sharp weapon in his hand, and a body like a tree, the hunters thought that he was a monster, so they immediately activated their power with the intention of killing Jaehyung. They attacked Jaehyung altogether, but Jaehyung remained unharmed. An assassin then readies his samurai and attacks Jaehyung, but his samurai breaks into halves since Jaehyung's chest is too hard. The assassin's eyes rounded as he was shocked about what just happened. Jaehyung then stared at him and beheaded him in an instant. At this point, there were 2 men remaining, and was confused to see a monster like Jaehyung in this gate. Jaehyung then slashed both of their heads and he then walked slowly towards the lady, who was now trembling in fear. The lady closed her eyes while her 2 arms covered her body as she thought that Jaehyung would also kill her. Jaehyung stood in front of her and stared at her. The lady cried and continuously sniffled. "Thank you for saving me," she uttered, but unexpectedly Jaehyung also slashed her head. Before he came to this point, he kneeled on the floor in front of the corpse of the hunters who bullied him. While he was kneeling, someone suddenly spoke behind him and was amazed with what he had done. "How do you feel now that you've gotten your revenge?" the person asked. Jaehyung asked about who she is and she answered that she was the Korean Hunter Association head named Sim Yeon. Jaehyung was confused why Yeon knew him, but Yeon said that she has been watching Jaehyung ever since that incident 5 years ago. Jaehyung was mad upon hearing it. He then rushed to Yeon with the intention of killing him, but he stopped when Yeon said that she can save Jaehyung's mother. Yeon didn't even feel frightened even a bit, and she still managed to smile despite Jaehyung almost killing her. She activates her power, a strong wind, while saying that she can wake Jaehyung's mother. She proudly said that she's the only S-rank healer in the world. "How can I trust you?" Jaehyung asked. "Did you think it was the hospital keeping your mother alive when you were in the underground?" The lady answered. Because of what she said, Jaehyung believed her and he asked about what Yeon wanted. Yeon smiled while saying that the problem was the hunters who were too strong, that Eve militaries are no match to them. She said that there are even hunters stronger than nuclear forces. She was thankful to them for killing most of all the monsters inside Thaw gates. However, the gates did not disappear, but instead, the gates now without monsters are being used as pathways. Nations are using them to fight wars with hunters, according to Yeon. Even so, their countries don't have enough hunters and they couldn't stop the Japanese hunters from invading. Not until Jaehyung appeared. She said that if they respond to Japan with hunters, it'll become a total war, but a monster shouldn't be a problem. "I'm asking you, I'll save your mother if you'll be our monster," she said. And that is why Jaehyung has come this far, because of the love he has for his mother. After killing these 5 Japan hunters, Jaehyung then walked away and was crying blood as he doesn't want to murder innocent people like the lady hunter he lastly killed. At the Japanese Prime Minister's official residence, there were 2 men discussing about the Gate of Monsters. The old man asked if there were strong monsters inside the gate, and the person with him answered no. The old man asked another question if there are strong hunters in Korea, and the person casually answered no once again. The old man then slammed the table with his clenched fist and wondered why their hunters haven't taken over Korea yet. This old man is the Japanese Prime Minister named Ryuzaki Judo. "I'm sorry, I shall rectify this," the young man responded. Ryuzaki asked about his plan and he smiled as he answered that he will take care of the issue himself. This young man is the Japanese S#1 hunter named Ikasai Kajiru. He then comes out from the office of the Japanese Prime Minister and orders his assistant to prepare his sword right away. His assistant was worried and asked if he would go alone by himself, and he casually answered of course. This may come off as rude, but the hunters that were sent prior were all elites. "Why don't you go with the others?" his assistant suggested. "Do I look like I need something like that?" Ikasai answered, and his assistant then apologizes. Meanwhile, he entered the Gate of Monsters and he was complaining about those weak hunters who entered before him. He also underestimated them while he was walking inside the gate. To his surprise, he saw several dead corpses of his co-hunters, and above of these bodies is Jaehyung. He slightly smiled as he believed that he was facing a rare monster. He then used his sword to slash Jaehyung, but Jaehyung managed to block it using the sharp weapon on his hand. Ikasai becomes serious upon seeing that the monster in front of him has the ability, and is not just a normal monster that they always faced off. while Ji-hyung is just staring at him. "You dare block my sword." "Funny," Ikasai said and punched Ji-hyung while swinging his sword. He then cast a skill called Cage Ryu's First Moon and hit Ji-hyung with it, which made Ji-hyung slide away. At this point, Ji-hyung vomited blood, but Ikasai was not satisfied yet and cast a second moon attack, causing Ji-hyung to flew away and slam on the corner. Ikasai then dashed towards Ji-hyung while saying that Ji-hyung's exoskeleton is pretty sturdy. After he got near Ji-hyung, he hit Ji-hyung once more with his third moon attack. But this time, Ji-hyung managed to dodge while swinging the sharp weapon on his hand. Ikasai was too fast to react, as he was able to cut Ji-hyung's arm before it landed on his face. Ji-hyung was so shocked at how it happened, and Ikasai proudly said that his sword can slice through even diamonds. He then slashed Ji-hyung's head and Ji-hyung's body fell to the ground while his head was rolling. "They lost to something like this. What a pity," Ikasai uttered with disappointment, knowing that a lot of his co-hunters from Japan weren't able to come back and found out that they were being killed inside this gate by Ji-hyung. Ji-hyung's head was in the ground with his blood dripping. Despite the fact that he was already beheaded by Ikasai, there are still memories recalled in his mind. He remembered his dad, who was always busy because of work, but his dad was warm and friendly, and that is what Ji-hyung likes about his father. One day, when his father came from work, Ji-hyung was too excited upon seeing him. They were on the road and Ji-hyung immediately ran to his father without knowing that there was a truck coming. His father immediately ran to save him in danger. His father pushed him away and the blood of his father splattered into his shocking face. His father passed away and Ji-hyung keeps blaming himself for what happened. With his father's death, their business went under and they ended up with a huge debt. His mom's soft hands became rough as she was working hard to finance Ji-hyung's needs. Every time Ji-hyung asked her if she was fine, she always said yes, even though her face could tell the true answer. After all that happened, Ji-hyung cannot sleep every night. He was crying as he also heard his mother cry, and he blames himself that it was because of him. One time, he gets a cutter as he planned to kill himself because he believes that someone like him doesn't have the right to live in this world. As he was hurting himself, his mother entered the room and accidentally dropped the food that she made for Ji-hyung. His mother was shocked and worried while Ji-hyung was crying and gritting his teeth as he felt pain. He suddenly smiled slightly while saying that he thinks he was awakened. He comes to this conclusion because the cut he has done on his hand was healed and goes back to normal. Ji-hyung was staring at the news on the TV about the nation's #1 hunter while he was hugging his mother. Starting that day, Ji-hyung kept telling himself that he will become a hunter soon and make his mother the happiest woman in the world. But then, things have changed as his mother is now suffering due to the people who bullied him. After remembering his past, his consciousness came back, and he recalled the time when Yeon said that the world's balance is broken and many nations have already been conquered by hunters. Our biggest enemy is Japan. Please become our monster and hunt, Yeon added. Ji-hyung then realized that his current enemy now is one of Japan's strongest hunters. As Ikasai turned his back to Ji-hyung, he was not aware that Ji-hyung came back to life. Ji-hyung's crumpled body was moving, and as Ikasai thought that he had done in this gate, he was planning to go to Korea himself. But then, he was startled and screamed in pain as Ji-hyung suddenly bit his ankle. At this moment, Ji-hyung's regeneration activated, and while he was biting Ikasai's ankle, Ikasai was confused as he remembered that he already cut off Ji-hyung's head. He screamed once more and activated his moon skill. He raised his sword while his eyes were sparkling. He stomped on the floor and created a circle which has an incantation imprinted on it and has a waning crescent moon in the middle. He then spinned his body with a fast speed and rotated Ji-hyung's body. At this point, Ji-hyung can only see a shadow, and Ikasai then used his Cage Ryu fatally and slashed Ji-hyung into pieces. He cast his 12th moon skill and attacked Ji-hyung with killing intent. He broke Ji-hyung's bones into pieces until he was satisfied that Ji-hyung was no longer alive. It became windy inside the gate and the bones were sipping out to the entrance. The peaceful gate from the outside has suddenly spit small bones coming from the gate. Above the rocky mountain, rock started to crumble and flew away, and that's because of Ikasai's skill. Ikasai was ready to leave the cave and he didn't expect that Ji-hyung would bite him. He knows that he needs healing, but before he can exit to this gate, his other foot was struck again. His sweat dropped from his forehead upon knowing that it was Ji-hyung again. He was so confused about how Ji-hyung remained alive all this time. He then grips into his sword and rushes towards Ji-hyung. On the same day, the Japanese Prime Minister Ryuzaki Judo is waiting for Ikasai to come out from the gate. He was together with several Ministry of Defense's elite hunters. The old man said that it's been 3 days since Ikasai entered the gate, and that's why he was here to check. He was about to say something, but he was cut off upon seeing the head of Ikasai that suddenly flew away to them coming from the gate. Jae-hyung then comes out and he doesn't care about these people. Ryuzaki screamed out of annoyance, but Jae-hyung instantly slashed his head. All this time, Jae-hyung thought that he had already killed the Japanese Prime Minister. At the Korean Hunter Association, Yeon was talking with her assistant about Jae-hyung. His assistant was doubting of Jae-hyung, and he believes that things would be bad once the person named Junggang will find out that Yeon hired Jae-hyung as a monster hunter. Sending Yeon to hunt hunters of Japan is also not a good idea for him. Aren't you curious? Yeon calmly asked. Jae-hyung is currently fighting the Japanese Prime Minister, and Yeon was hoping that Jae-hyung can win against Japan's strongest hunter and Prime Minister. Ryuzaki clenched his fist as he unexpectedly regenerated after Jae-hyung beheaded him. He then punched Jae-hyung's body with a great force, which made Jae-hyung become unconscious. After it, Ryuzaki continuously clenched his fist as he was standing still while staring at Jae-hyung's body. Jae-hyung was unaware that he was facing Japan's number 0 SSS-RANK hunter. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you wish to have another part of this recap, please give us at least 2,000 likes. Please don't forget to comment and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Until next time.